You know, something that happened when I turned 20 years old, and I'm sure this applies to some of you guys as well. I started to think about my future every single day, every single hour, every single minute, every single second. It might not be on the forefront of your mind, but you're always thinking about it subconsciously. And from my early 20s to 25, which is how old I am right now, you get this voice in the back of your head telling you, oh, you can't mess around anymore. And that voice becomes louder and louder as you get older. And I think this is why it's so easy for people in their early 20s especially to fall into hedonism, whether that's drinking alcohol, drugs, sex, going to parties, etc. They're pleasures that help us escape reality. We want to get away from that anxiety that hits in our 20s, that is our future. All that confusion, uncertainty, and anxiety, this is where it all really sets in. And most people, most young adults are on social media looking at everyone put on a front, and it gives them even more anxiety. Like, it's so much easier to pop a pill, get wasted, have pointless sex, and forget about all those problems and worries. You know, just replacing it with constant dopamine. And I don't blame them. You're becoming an adult, having more responsibilities while still barely even knowing about yourself. And most people don't have a foundation because their college years was just getting wasted, hooking up, doing a major they're unsure about, taking random classes that have nothing to do with anything because you were told to choose your life path at the age of 18. It's like, why do you think so many people end up changing their majors? It's another way for universities to just make money. Remember this, college is a business more than it is an education system. I remember I had to pick a major during my orientation and I still had like no clue. Like, I don't know, I'm 18. Like, I like playing basketball, going to church, hanging out with my friends. So I just went with business, the most generic major that still to this day I feel like is a scam. It's like you're out here learning business from some professor who doesn't even have one or never even started a business. He just wrote some book and forced his students to buy it for his class. And all he does is yap about econ from a textbook. Point is, there's a reason why young adults are more lost than ever, more anxious than ever. Why self-deletion rates have gone up, why everyone's on antidepressant pills. The world is changing really fast and it's only gonna get faster. And a lot of people aren't sure how they fit in this world. A lot of young adults. It's not like your parents can really help you either because they grew up in an entirely different generation than us. Keep in mind, the internet's only been around for really 3 decades or even less. We don't face the same struggles that they did and they don't face the same struggles that we do growing up. And I don't use this term often, but a main contributor to anxieties for people in their 20s and young adults is societal norms. Everyone's got to have the same life path, and if you're not there, then you're behind, you're a failure. You go to high school, go to college, graduate at 22, enter the workforce, get a job, graduate, move out, live on your own, have your friend circle, have your social life, your hobbies, your passions, have a sustainable income, paying your own bills, work-life balance, all that. And you're definitely supposed to have it figured out before your 30s. That's how most people feel. If they don't have their life together by 30, it's pretty much over and you're a fuck up. And again, social media really contributes to this mentality. If you don't have these things figured out, you're a failure because all your friends, all your classmates from high school, they're living their best lives. Or it seems to be. Like, Aaron's just got his master's degree, Sarah's getting married, Kyle's a software engineer at Google, Kevin's moved out and he's a homeowner, Karen is climbing the corporate ladder, Steve and Stephanie are having their honeymoon in Greece. Michelle just passed the bar and she's becoming a lawyer. Michael just sold his 50th property and is a successful real estate agent. And you? Well, you're just working a normal job and you're still at home with your parents. And now you feel like a failure. Now you feel worthless and now you're on antidepressant pills trying to find ways to escape reality. I like how I just used the most generic names off the top of my head. And not to mention, in your 20s, you start to lose friends. I'm actually curious as to how many people have genuine friends. Not friends you use for comfort, not friends you hit up when you're lonely, not friends you know deep down would leave you to go sit at the cool table, not friends that would switch up in a group setting. Like, you know, just genuine, real friends you can hit up whenever because you know they'll be there whenever you need help. Friends that you can argue with, friends that'll roast you, friends that'll keep it real with you. Because those people are few and far in between because there is less real and genuine people nowadays in general. And again, this is because of social media. It's just the world we live in. This is why I always say make sure you guys stay true at the end of every single video. Because that's what I stand for. I want to stand for truth, I want to stand for authenticity, I want to stand for staying true to yourself, and I want to stand for God. Everyone's doing their own thing, living their own lives. You drift apart with your day ones, the friends you grew up with, you know, middle school, high school friends, and this is just kind of what happens in your 20s. Other people are in relationships and getting married and engaged while you're still single. And you're still confused and lost and uncertain. Like, it's hard and it can be overwhelming because despite the fact that technology has allowed us to connect with people across the world, we've never been more disconnected. And genuine, real relationships are becoming more and more scarce. You gotta keep in mind, whatever generation it is after Gen Z, which is us or most of you guys, social media is all they're going to know. Like, you got middle school and high schoolers becoming TikTok famous overnight for doing a 10-second dance to some trashy Ice Spice song. Like, you got this pop singer or rapper or whatever she is, named after a deodorant with clown hair, and you got girls twerking to her music becoming famous in high school. Like, that's the world we live in. Like human beings, especially that young, are not meant to deal with the stimuli that social media is providing. You're not meant to deal with the criticisms and judgments from thousands of people, let alone millions across the world, and it's no secret why self-deletion rates are on the rise every single year. This is a really tough time in history or the world for teenagers and even young adults to be learning about themselves in. Because you feel like there's little to no margin for error when you're learning about yourself, because all these societal expectations are bearing down on you. Like when you're in your 20s, the clock starts ticking till you're 30. These 10 years are supposed to define the rest of your life. And I did say the main issue was societal norms as it pertains to why people start feeling all these things in their 20s. But I guess the translation for all that is, we care way too much about what other people think or the perceptions of us that have no impact on our lives. Like bro, this applies to so many people in our generation. Now don't get me wrong, we have to get moving. Obviously you can't just sit in your drawers doing nothing, playing games, scrolling social media, TikTok, Instagram, getting high, smoking weed, thinking about life. But I think 20s is a really good time and opportunity to gain new experiences and to find out who you are and what you really want out of life. People say that college is the time you're supposed to find out about yourself, but from what I've seen at least, it's the time that most people lose themselves. You know, just getting drunk, getting ran through, doing drugs, just chasing dopamine and attention and validation. And again, I don't want people to conflate this with chasing dopamine, which is why I made the point I did earlier. I guess what I mean is do things with the sole intention and focus of learning about yourself. Whether that's learning new skills, trying new things, making new hobbies, meeting different people, traveling to different places you never thought you would. Like, don't just travel for Instagram pictures to make it seem like you're happy and living a great life. Like, that's gay. I'm just joking. Kind of. Like, travel with the intention of growing and learning, and that's basically the crux of what I mean. And when you're 20, take risks because you got the energy to. And I'm speaking to myself too, because as guys, we damn near have like Wolverine healing powers in our early 20s. I guess mid to late 20s is when your back starts hurting and you start saying I'm tired every day and you have to stretch more. I think it's like 25 where your testosterone starts to decline. But I don't know, man, just try to take some risk. Like, you're not a failure just because you're lost at 22 and you got classmates that got a job lined up at a Big Four or some law firm as an assistant. Again, this is just my point of view. Like, I'm still 25, like I don't know anything. Because when I turned 20, I thought I was the smartest person in the world and I knew so much. And the older I got, the more I realized I don't know anything. Like seriously, for example, every year I've been filing taxes, I would upload like 2 to 3 forms and fill out basic information, and I'll be like, I don't know why people think this is so hard or tedious. Like, filing taxes is easy. When in reality, I just didn't have that much motion. I don't know what, or like, I don't know how to like file property tax. I haven't gotten a medical checkup in like 4 to 5 years. Half the mail I get, I have no idea what it's even about. Like, I'm not a responsible guy. Before, whenever I used to get parking tickets, I would just drive until it flew off my windshield and pretend like I never saw it. So if it ever came up in the future, I'd just be like, what? I never got it. Like, that's the guy I've been. I'm just being honest. But I don't know, man. I'm enjoying the process and I get excited whenever I feel myself taking steps or making strides. Like, I'm not out here looking at anyone else's life feeling bad or good about myself based on where someone else is at. And this applies to so many people because so many people feel better or worse about themselves when they look at someone else's life. But I've never been worried about anyone else's perception of me in that regard. Also because I'm sure very few people, if anyone, is even thinking about me like that. And I'll say this, and this isn't me trying to make anyone feel better because that's not what I do, I just keep it real. But not a single person has it all figured out, especially in their 20s. Every other person our age can relate to the exact same problems and struggles. Whatever you're anxious about in your 20s, the next person feels the same and then some. Like, we all exist in the same world, we're living in the same generation, most of us have very similar life paths. We can all relate to almost the exact same struggles. But I guess I'm saying try to focus less on other people and how other people perceive you and more on just yourself and what you're doing. If you're feeling lost, really try to take some time to unplug from all the distractions and dopamine that you're masking your anxieties with. And maybe try to slow it down in your mind just a little bit. Because we all know what it's like to be overwhelmed with these thoughts and life situations and try to hold everything up while you're slowly breaking yourself apart. I don't know, just try to take care of yourself and try to have your own back and try not to be so hard on yourself. If you're genuinely trying your best every single day, that's all any of us can really do. Especially in this world we live in. Remember, we don't live forever. From dust we came, to dust we'll return. And again, this isn't a nihilist way of copping out like, oh great, we're all gonna die so I don't have to do anything. I could just smoke weed and get high and get drunk every night because my life has no meaning. That's a loser's excuse. It actually means the exact opposite. It means it's even more important to live purposefully and a way that's true to yourself, because I can't imagine a more sad ending than being at the end of the road realizing you've been living your life for other people the entire time out of fear. And I think that's the regret that most people talk about. Anyways, I think I'm gonna leave this one at that. Pretty good yap session. And yeah, make sure you guys stay true. I'll talk to you guys real soon. Peace.